So this is a regular segment for Stephen Waguespack, but completely not a regular segment for Stephen Waguespack.
Little different this
What's
time.
happening, man?
No, not much. Regular week,
You know,
nothing big going on. Yeah, just
so
typical things.
um, Stephen normally, for those that aren't regulars around here, Stephen normally joins us as the president of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Well, last week he decided to up and leave that job to go run for governor. We're going to get into all of it.
Yeah, sure.
If you have time, I'll blow out the outside in the next segment if we have to go over.
It's your
So
show. I'm just here, man.
I greatly appreciate it. Let's start with that. The
Okay.
decision to run for governor. What went into that process, and how did you come about deciding that?
Look, Brian, we've talked on this show for years. I've spent most of my career trying to figure out different ways to help Louisiana. And I've done it through policies, I've done it from inside, I've done it from the outside. And it's always been a driving, motivating force for me.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make Louisiana reach its potential, be the best state it can, and stop the crisis we have of losing families to other states? I mean, that's kind of what we've always been about. And it just became clear to me over the last several weeks, and my wife and I have been reflecting on it for longer than that, that this is our moment. And I say our, I'm not taking my wife and I, this is our state's moment. I mean, we truly think Louisiana's at a crossroads. We think that Louisiana has to step up and answer some of the questions that have been haunting us for a long time. And if we do, the great thing is there's this great Southern renaissance going on around us. States are growing. The economies around us are growing. We can have that same growth.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to do some little things and get on the right path and get back in the game. And we think Louisiana's up to a wonderful future if that happens. And so my wife and I thought about it, and just the moment was there, and we took it, and we couldn't be more proud and excited and happy. And our hearts are in the right place, and our minds are in the right place, and we're gonna go give it a good whack. And I will tell you, the initial response we're receiving is just phenomenal. I think there is a simmering hunger out there in this state for people who don't want to just join a campaign; they want to join a movement. And we're trying to create a movement here. We're trying to create a movement that says Louisiana is ready to get in the game. Louisiana is ready to, claim that role as one of the top economic engines of the state. And look, why is that important? Because that's what's going to stop families from leaving. We want to stop that drain of families.
No, absolutely, and this has been an ongoing topic. I mean, it was a topic 2 Thursdays ago when you had a bunch of gubernatorial
Exactly
candidates
right.
on stage with
Exactly.
you. By the way, I like the way you play that. Like, get all their ideas first and then jump in.
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly how it went down. I know. I hear you.
You talk about externally the right time, but what about internally within your life? I mean, you're a dad of young kids. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
this is gonna be a challenge.
of course, it's a challenge, but you know what? I mean, Louisiana's worth fighting for, Brian. And the truth is, I have 3 sons, okay, and I love them all, and they're all great in their own ways. I got 1 in college, and I got 2 in the back end of high school. I turned 49 this year, so I'm still in my 40s. Say that, but actually, if you think about it, in many ways, it is good timing for my family and myself. And look, what trumps all that is the fact that I truly think Louisiana's at a true crossroads, and I think we can deliver a plan, a vision, and the leadership that works for everyone. And yeah, I'm a conservative, and I'll talk all about my conservative policies all day long, but I like working with everyone to solve problems. And Louisiana's problems deserve solutions, and you have to get out of your comfort zone, work with everyone, bring people together to find the solutions that we need to be competitive. And I think we can do that. And so we're fired up, we're excited, and there's no looking back. We're all in.
Stephen Waguespack's our guest. He is running for governor of the state of Louisiana. What sets you apart from the 4 other Republican candidates in the race?
Yeah, I mean, I think a governor's election is a job interview. I mean, it's the most important job in the state in many ways, especially for a state like Louisiana. So you want someone who has the skills to do the job well. And I think I have a career. I'm a Louisiana native, and so I understand the state back and forth. I've been inside of government, and so I understand how it works. I've been a long time, reformer. I have pushed for smart conservative policy reforms that can kind of improve our state. I've also spent the last 10 years going around the state, meeting with small businesses, big businesses, individuals, community leaders. I've been in my car for 10 years now, working with people around the state, listening. I know what every region of the state needs, what their strengths are, their weaknesses are. And I think if you're looking at it as a job interview, there's no one that has a record of mine that can match mine, which is I understand how the inside of the governor's office works. I understand the thoughts and hearts and dreams of the business community and what they're trying to do. I've visited with local leaders and know what they're trying to accomplish. I have a proven record of conservative values, but bringing people together at the same time and working with everyone. I think you put all that in a pot, man, you got a pretty good meal right there. And so I will go on this job interview very proud of what I can bring to the table. And I think it's gonna work. And if early reads that we're hearing or any indication, response has been phenomenal. There's so many people we're hearing from that have said, man, we were kind of tuning out. We didn't know what to do. We were kind of like wondering what the heck. And like, you're bringing a breath of fresh air. And so look, we're not going to rest on our laurels,
Mm-hmm.
but man, we're in it to win it. And we think we have a good message to sell.
Top 3 problems facing Louisiana right now are what?
People. We got to stop losing people. We gotta fill the hole in the boat. We're taking on water. And I think the best way to stop losing people is give them something here that they need. And that's a job. And that's a good school. And so I say you gotta get into the educational system and truly fix the system. Now that doesn't mean throwing a bunch of standards and mandates and accountability at them or browbeating them. What that means is sitting down with local educators and figuring out how do we create pathways for every child in the state. And if you want to go 4-year, if you want to go 2-year, if you want to go straight to the workforce, it's all great. We're going to create a pathway that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's opening the doors of the schools, bringing in local industry, bringing in the local 2-year schools, and creating pathways for everyone. I think that's the number one thing. The second thing is, I really think we've got to get a handle on this crime issue.
Yeah.
Every region of the state has serious issues with that. It doesn't matter if you're the big city or the small rural areas. And I think the state can be a more effective partner on that. It's largely a local issue, but I think the state can be a better partner. And as governor, I will be able to work with those local leaders I know so well, bring forth some smart solutions, and help them be more effective. And at the end of the day on crime, I think it's really 2 buckets. Those that we need to reform to get them out of a life of crime, we got to do a better job reforming them.
Yeah.
And those that are creating all the problems that we need to punish, we got to do a better job punishing them. And so you got to triage that and do a better job at both ends of that spectrum.
Stephen Waguespack's our guest, running for governor. Stephen, the crime thing, you bring that up because that seems to be the overriding message of most of the candidates in this race, is crime is out of control. But you started to walk down the path that was my next question is, crime by and large is a local issue. How does the state find avenues to where on a statewide level you could be effective at fighting crime?
Well, when you talk to the local leaders who are on the front end of this issue, look, these are DAs, these are law enforcement, this is judiciary system, these are the mental health offerings, these are some of those other, truancy and child welfare. You talk to those front lines of this issue, it's a poverty issue at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think the state has a tremendous way to help drive solutions on poverty and mental health and all that. So yes, we have to be better partners. We have to find the programs that work locally, support them, make sure they're robust. We have to make sure that law enforcement is protected when they go out and do their job. They know that the state, through their laws and through their protections, are going to have their back. We also have to make sure that we're compensating them the right way so we can keep them, because right now we're losing police officers to Florida and other states because they have put extra incentives in there. So I do think that's a piece of it as well. And the other thing, we have to make sure that there's the right capacity. So yes, that means jail cells for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And that also means treatment areas for the people that we need to get treatment. And sometimes that's teaching them how to weld or have a skill. Sometimes that's teaching someone who can't read as a young adult, teaching them reading. Sometimes that's drug treatment. And so the state can help support those programs, support those facilities that are needed to take the bad guys off the street. And we can't go in and do it for locals, but we can be a more effective partner.
Talking with Stephen Waguespack a little bit about his run for governor, which got underway last week. So you posted up a video, and I talked about the video because every other candidate out there thus far has posted up this like super produced video.
Yeah, we'll have one of those at some point.
Okay,
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I found it. You talk about refreshing. Just it was very real. It was very in the moment. There was a barking dog and a lot of wind in the background.
That dog would not stop barking.
Was the dog in favor? The dog's got your vote?
I mean,
you've got the dog's vote?
I don't know, and I'm not sure you can vote with a paw. I mean, the buttons are small in those machines.
It's Louisiana.
Yeah, that's 4 votes with 1. I should have talked to the dog, man. But and to be honest with you, I can tell you this vicious story. It was a small little yap dog behind a fence. I was safe.
All good. All good.
But yeah, so I was coming back from St. Tammany. I announced that afternoon, and we were driving back to Baton Rouge. And I said, you know what? There's 2 stops I want to make, and one I put on video, one I didn't. So the one, I went to the house I grew up in Gonzales.
Yeah.
And this is the house we moved in from 1987. My 80s were tough here in Louisiana. My dad lost his job. He was out of work for about a year, so we ended up moving to Missouri because that was the job he got. And as a kid, it drove me crazy. So I wanted to go back to that house. The first door I knocked on as a candidate, I wanted to walk back to that house because to me, this is kind of a reckoning moment.
Yeah.
I want to go back and fix that crisis of the 80s and make sure it doesn't happen again in any other family. So talked to the family. They were super nice. They brought me in. They showed me my old room. Hadn't seen it in 30-something years. And so they were great. There's a neighbor that still lived there. I knocked on their door, talked to them for a little bit and caught up. But then second, I went down the street and, my dad and my sister are buried not too far from there. They both passed away since then. I went and talked to them and asked for their, insight and guidance and all that stuff. And so to me, this is a long time coming. It feels quick to people.
Yeah.
It did come quick last week. But for me, There's been something haunting me since that kid in 1987 had to move to Missouri and was mad about it. And I've always been haunted in my career. Like, I've been given some skills and assets, and I've been able to be a privilege to be part of many interesting conversations and phenomenal leaders. And I think it's all crescendo to this moment. Like, I think it's my role to come in and make sure that we stop always going through these generational losing family moments. And I want to stop it.
So you bring up the 80s, and I think there are some similarities between the 80s, the problems of the 80s in Louisiana and the problems today in Louisiana.
Absolutely, there
Houston
are.
is Houston today, and New Orleans is New Orleans today, and those two took diverging paths way back then.
And unfortunately, we have a lot of Louisianans around the state who are great, wonderful people, but like they've lost hope that we can get out of this boomer bust cycle. They're like, it is what it is, man. This is what we are. You know, you're not going to change it. And I just refuse to believe that. And the cool thing is, the more I've talked to businesses, what I realize is businesses and families, they have the same goals. I think there's this divide in politics where everyone says, oh, business wants this and families want that, and how are you going to ever get them together? That's a bunch of bull, man.
Mm-hmm.
Every business I talk to, they say, look, give me people. If you provide a community that has people that are educated, that can read and write, that can stay off drugs and work on a team, that's where we'll go. If you could give me a community that has good, reliable infrastructure, roads that work, that's where we'll go. You give me a community that has a school system we can depend on and is safe from crime, that's where we're going to go. Businesses aren't looking for anything different than families are looking for. That's why I think I can go there and we can put together a package and some solutions that are a game changer for families and bring in new businesses and jobs. And I just think it takes the right person who really understands both ends of the equilibrium. And I think I can bring that to the table.
Okay, so I told you when you were coming on that the segment normally ends at 7:50. Can I keep you up until 8?
Yeah, man.
You good? Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. All right. So one more before break. When we come back from break, we'll continue with gubernatorial candidate Stephen Waguespack. Talk business, talk jobs, LABI experience under your belt. I mean, that gives you a perspective of where we're lacking right now.
Yeah.
How do you move that over to the fourth floor?
You know, to bring policy solutions that work, to bring policy solutions that you can pass, you have to work with everyone. And I think that one of the biggest experiences from that is, one, understanding what employers need, two, how it relates to families, and three, how you have to bring everyone together to get an effective solution. And that experience is going to go greatly in the governor's office.
He is Stephen Waguespack, running for governor. Going to stick with us for another segment here, so let's take a break. We'll check your money now on the air. We will check traffic on the air. When we come back, we're not going to hit up the outside, and we'll push that back to next hour to free up a couple more minutes here with Stephen Waguespack. So quick break. Coming back next right here on Talk 107.3 FM. And now I'm slow. I was 6 seconds fast earlier. Do what?
Happened?
I'm
give
slow.
me the whole thing. Like what?
That's ABC.
Yeah.
So I've got tune in the morning.
Okay.
That's connected to this computer. So I've got was supposed to be 100%.
But your timing, I guess she's giving you the 10 and the 5 and all that stuff. I don't know what the L is. I don't know if that's just
15.
Louisiana Pride.
So
Okay,
this is.
Go to, I was like, we get another recruit?
No, look, this is half a circle, so that's half a minute.
Okay.
This is the corner of a square, so that's 15 seconds.
All right.
And then 10 on down.
But is that the time when you read the time?
That's supposed to be the exact time, so I kind of try and put one eye on her and one eye up there.
No, no. He was slow. Okay.
And we are on Facebook. Yes. Okay.
Like volume and picture?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. I love this. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most important question for every gubernatorial candidate. If you win, are you going to continue Ask the Governor with Jim Inkster?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that. I don't know. Do you have any input on that?
Huh?
Do you have any input on that?
Yeah, you should totally do it. Actually, I think you should do one with Brian instead. Like a monthly call-in show.
This is an ambush, isn't it? This is the old ambush. Yeah, this is good.
So the show started with Ask Mike.
I was going to say, I think Mike
Oh,
Foster.
yeah. That's when he used to use like different voices and things like that. With Foster?
Foster used to use
Yes. If you go back and listen to some of that, it's so interesting. He used to impersonate like I want to say even like a Louisiana mom or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, I think so. If you go back and some of that footage, because I mean, years ago, I actually knew Mike fairly well back in the day, and I think if I remember right, he used to do like some voices and do like pretend callers and things like that. He had fun with it. If you're gonna do that show, and yeah, I probably would do something like that. You gotta have fun with it. I mean, you want people to listen. You gotta relate. They gotta relate to it. You know. So.
Yeah, Foster did it. Franco did it. Jindal did not.
Did he not?
And then John Bell picked it back up.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. I like it. Yeah. Because for a lot of people, it's the only time they can hear, their governor talk. It's the only way they can kind of put questions in. Not everyone, can have other ways to do that. So I think it's a good idea.
I just think it should be switched to
Yeah. Okay.
like
Is Brian offering his services? Is that what he says? I like her, man.
I'm punchy in my
I like her. Yeah, how many Red Bulls in are you at that point? Sugar free Red Bulls.
So at that point, I'm at the gym.
Oh, look at you. Oh, you're an afternoon workout guy.
Can't go to the gym before that.
That would be pretty impressive if you did, though. But yeah, we don't want that. You got a lot of life to live. That's good. Yeah.
I swear that Medical Monday segment every single week makes me the biggest hypochondriac. No matter what we're talking about, I have it.
Yeah, that's true. And you look, I listen to it usually because I'm usually on, and so I kind of have the same issue. But it's good. Like now, I go get an annual check on my heart. I do this annual full checkup. I'm like, and I've had some, I've had some health issues in my family, so I need to. But yeah, I do it all the time now.
Yeah, I would swear up and down I had ovarian cancer.
That would be unique. I'm not going to lie to you. But
it's all in how you do it.
Yeah, it's right. To each his own, right? No. Which one?
Yeah.
It didn't?
She was too worried about saying the word anal without laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, as you get older, there's plenty of words that you get more comfortable saying because it just becomes, when you go to the doctor, they start talking about those things, Like your first 40 years you go to the doctor, they kind of pat you on the arm, say, "Oh, you look great, good job," and then you get in your 40s, they're like, and they start bringing up words and tests and things like that, and you're like, oh, so this is what the next phase feels like.
Let me see if there's any questions on the Facebook Live feed. Probably not, but if there are.
Robust. Oh, did you get a picture of us by any chance? Oh, awesome. That's cool. Action. And you got the matchy Sadie Hawkins picture? Yeah, nice.
So good.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive. Great minds think alike, the way I look at it.
I can't get far enough back here. All right.
How long is this segment?
We gotta be
this is where you do outside in usually?
Yeah.
I like the little lead-in song, though.
Oh, thank you.
It's good. You put those together? Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Dusty Trail. Dusty Trail.
It's Peter Griffin, Family Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first gig in radio, I did a lot of that over at WJBO.
I got a radio background, too. Did I ever tell you this?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No.
When I was in college, I was at AM 1300 WIBR.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Co-hosted the Sunday Sports Journal. Me and Brian Reams.
What time did that come on?
That'd be Sunday morning. This was
my first radio show was a Sunday morning show.
Really? And
yes.
This was like the Curly Holman football era. So we would wake up early on Sundays and talk about Curly Holman football. Exciting radio right there. Yeah. So we lost by 40 this weekend. Let's talk about what went wrong. Coming up next,
That's awesome.
That's pretty much it. So
756 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Going to meet up with ABC News less than 4 minutes from right now, which means time is short with Stephen Waguespack, the former president of LABI, now running for governor. What happens to your old gig, man?
So I'm stepping down.
Uh-huh.
I'm stepping down. So look, they're going to do a national search.
Okay.
Look, it's a great job. And look, it was hard to walk away from it because it was a great job and a great lifestyle, and so many wonderful people, and our board was fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic. And so, look, that wasn't an easy thing to do, but I think the stakes are too high for Louisiana, and the opportunity was too real that we thought we could make a positive difference for our state. We did it. But, man, I just want my team at LABI, look, yeah, I'm so proud of them. They're like family to me. It's been a tough couple of days, talking with them, and they're all excited and happy on this stuff, but I'm going to miss them, man. We've had a family atmosphere there, and they're really good, hardworking people who do a lot for the state, and they'll do great, and they'll find a great leader, and I'll help them any way I can during that search process. But it's a privilege to serve in that role for 10 years.
So, and by the way, they're hanging on to this segment, or the past
Fantastic.
segment. So, yeah,
It's
no,
awesome.
it's because I love the partnership as well.
It's great.
It's a finger on the pulse of where business is at in Louisiana.
It's been fun for me to doing this. I mean, kicking off Monday morning,
Right?
it's a great way to start the week, kind of get your head right, and so I've always enjoyed it. So I appreciate that.
Even during carpool, which
it is doing carpool a lot, which is it is what it is. I mean, I'm a working dad, like a lot of other folks out there, and it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I say I get to pick up the afternoon stuff. The wife handles the morning zoo, the morning chaos.
You mean carpool doesn't start at 4:30 for
No,
okay.
no. Well, we'll talk about that during the news coming up at the top of the hour after we're done here. Okay, so walking down that path, though, a long stint at LABI. For those that don't know you, before LABI, you did what? What's the rest of your resume?
Yeah, so before that, I was at Jones Walker Law Firm for about a year and a half. And then before that, I was in the office of Bobby Jindal, the governor's office, and I was the policy guy, and then I was his attorney, his executive counsel, and then I had a brief stint as chief of staff, and then I stepped down just after the reelect. And so early in the second term, I stepped down, and that's when I went to Jones Walker for about a year or so before LABI. Before that, I was on Capitol Hill for about a decade in D.C., worked on the Hill for a congressman. Went to law school at night. That's where my wife and I got married. We had our kids and all that stuff. And then, prior to that, I grew up in Louisiana. I mentioned earlier kind of the story there. I grew up in Gonzales in Ascension Parish. My mom and dad and two sisters, and then my grandfather was sheriff of Ascension Parish for a number of years. And so I kind of grew up in a family that understood and respected law enforcement. My uncle was sheriff also of Ascension Parish. And so that's kind of my background. My background is this. Grew up in a small town in Louisiana. That's my roots. And throughout my career, I've been motivated to just try to find solutions that work for a state like Louisiana because there's so much potential here. We just got to fix a couple things and get everyone to buy into the fact that Louisiana is on the verge of greatness, that we can be just as good as every state in the South. We got to realize we have to go grab moments when they arise. This is a moment because of the Southern Renaissance going on right now.
I had in my mind envisioned at least 2-3 more topics within this 4-minute segment. I don't know what made me think we would get to all that, but this is the
4
first
minutes is tight, big guy. I'm not going to lie.
First of many conversations in this new role on this new path. I appreciate you stopping by for a couple minutes.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. He is Stephen Waguespack, now gubernatorial candidate Stephen Waguespack, going to be on the campaign trail in the coming months.
Go to wagsforla.com, please.
Wagsforla.com is the website. Here's ABC News. It's 8 o'clock.